Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing, well, frankly, this, in my opinion, rather absurd and quite honestly Orwellian, and I question the legality of some of this, as I'll get into here in a moment, these issues associated with banking here in Thailand. Now, I've done some videos recently, most notably I did two on the situation involving banking over in Vietnam, where apparently some 86 million bank accounts were completely shut down, it's my understanding. Now, I'm going off of secondhand anecdotal evidence on that, and I did an initial video where I thought it was 86,000, which I thought was big enough, but I had to do a correction video to talk about the fact it was 86 million. So, I don't know that Thailand is the worst place to be at the moment, sort of like when you see on the videos pertaining to economics and currency and sort of ongoing currency policy, you'll see people talk about the dollar as the quote-unquote cleanest dirty shirt. There's an argument to be made here in Thailand that this is the best place to do business, if for no other reason it's not communist. We're seeing other jurisdictions running around doing things like closing 86 million accounts, even though we're seeing, in my opinion, accounts of, or I should say, anecdotal evidence of not what you want to hear with regard to banking. There's other jurisdictions that are worse. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement when it comes to issues associated with banking. As I get into in videos made contemporaneously with this one, there seems to be some anecdotal evidence to suggest that at least the foreign community is looking increasingly at moving their money out of Thailand, which, again, based on these issues associated with bank account freezing and all of that stuff, I can understand what they're thinking. I'll get into that in the other video. That said, I think it's important to point out that there has been some comment from official channels on this, and I'm going to get into that here in a moment. That said, for those who are interested, we do long-form comment in our paid news service. If you're interested in getting the long-form content, you can email us, media@integrity-legal.com, and get some information on that. Also, while I'm talking my own book, it's worth pointing out my better half and I set up a restaurant here in downtown Bangkok. We've got American diner-style food, and we will put up some photos of the food here. People have asked me about that in some correspondence recently. They said, hey, you don't put up any photos. Yeah, we'll put up some photos real quick. We have breakfast anytime. It's called Pancake Palace, as the name implies, breakfast anytime. We've also got American diner-style food, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, buffalo wings, chili bowls. We've even got Coke in glass bottles. If you're interested, come check us out in downtown Bangkok. Links are in the description below. That said, getting back into all this fun and amazing banking stuff, I originally thought of making this video after reading a recent article from Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, DES Urges Calm Amid Locked Bank Accounts. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should have put up another, I did a video of this already, where we put up the thumbnail from Animal House where it's Kevin Bacon, remain calm, all is well, and then everybody, everything's going crazy around him. I don't know if they're watching my videos and maybe taking a page from the mimetic book, if you will, on what I was talking about, but I think I made that video about banking specifically about, I feel like the guy saying remain calm, and now people are saying remain calm, even though this isn't really something, in my opinion, to be overly calm about. I mean, where is the legal authority for some of this? I'll get into it here in a moment. That said, quoting directly, the Digital Economy and Society Ministry, which by the way has only existed for a few years, this isn't like some long-standing ministry in Thailand, has opened a special quote-unquote war room to urgently address complaints over frozen bank accounts. How about you just stop freezing bank accounts? You don't need a war room. And by the way, a war room, why are they using war kind of terminology, vernacular for this? What are the banks at war with their own customers? Which everyone seems to forget. We're the customers of these banks. It's not some magical privilege that we're granted to be able to use a bank. We're customers of a business. Quoting further, after a surge of reports from online vendors and individuals who found their funds locked due to suspected links with so-called quote-unquote mule accounts. Again, suspected? Where's the legal authority for this? Where are the warrants for this? Where are the court orders for these shutdowns of people's bank accounts that are the lifeblood for their livelihoods? It's their money. Who gave these people, where's the legal right to do this? What's it based on? Because the Digital Economy and Society Ministry says so? Quoting further, the move came after the Bank of Thailand, commercial banks, and law enforcement agencies held urgent talks on Sunday to address growing public concern over the temporary suspension of the accounts. How about you stop suspending the accounts? How about you also tell us, where do you get the legal authority to do this, law enforcement and Bank of Thailand and commercial banks? Again, this is classic communal punishment kind of talk. Okay, they did this in communist regimes, fascist regimes. Oh, there's scammers. Oh, there's some bad actor. Therefore, everyone's punished. Oh, there's mule accounts out there. Therefore, we're shutting down people's accounts. Without due process of law, from what I can tell, where's the legal authority to do this? You know, when the anti-money laundering office shuts down bank accounts, from what I've understood in the past, there's due process. It has to be subject to an investigation. There has to be something akin to a warrant issued to shut down that account. Where is that here? That said, quoting further, quote unquote, mule accounts are often opened by unknowing parties to receive transfers from victims of financial fraud. But they're shutting down accounts that have been open for months, if not years. I've got the correspondence from people who've told me this. You know, so, and again, but because there's some mule accounts out there, they just exist. This is totally like COVID. Oh, there's a disease, therefore you have to wear masks, even though there was no scientific data to prove that it did anything. There was no legal authority, which we went over it at the time. I went through the Communicable Diseases Act point by point and asked, where does it give the right to compel people to wear masks? But they did it. And now they're just sitting there like, oh, well, we can do this because we say so. Well, it's our money, and we're the customers of these banks. So what is this? This is ridiculous. Quoting further, DES Permanent Secretary Wisit Soraat, chairman of the meeting, said that the reports which prompted the concerns were not full seizures, but temporary suspensions of suspected funds pending verification. So we're seizing it. It's on you to prove that it's yours and to prove that it's legitimate, but it's not a full seizure, it's a temporary seizure, but yet it's still seized. Quoting further, quote, it is not an account freeze in the strict legal sense. What? Except for it's seized and the funds are frozen in fact. Quoting further, but a temporary suspension of certain amounts of money suspected to be tied to mule accounts. Hey, remember when Nixon temporarily closed the gold window and temporarily ended the Bretton Woods system as we knew it up to that point in 1971? Did that temporary closure ever end? This is how they always come at things. They always say something's temporary, especially when they know it's not. Quoting further, other balances and transactions may remain usable. May. Quoting further, we urge the public not to panic. The suspension is only temporary and will be lifted once checks confirm no wrongdoing. So now your money in Thailand is subject to them seizing it at will, and then there's a rebuttable presumption you'll get it back if they check it and everything's hunky-dory. Who signed on for this? And this looks to me like just another one of the long trains of abuses that is coming from the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. I was very much hoping under this government we would see a reversal of this. We saw this stuff brought in the last government. It's terrible. Who's going to want to do business here if this is the banking environment? Yeah, I get it. Vietnam's worse. But, you know, that's not how things should be judged. I thought this was a free country. I thought we had due process of law. People's funds and people's money, people's property can't just be seized willy-nilly, and then it's on you to prove up that it shouldn't be. I'm going to get into another video where I talk about some comments that we've received that are related to this whole banking situation in Thailand, and we'll certainly be keeping you updated on this channel as the situation evolves.